All right. Hey, everybody. So this is the design team for inbound marketing. We're going to talk about our latest sprint, which we have dubbed "Experience is the comb that life gives a bald man." That is our Irish proverb of the week. The goals of this sprint were kind of making a decision about what technology to use going forward. So we'll have some of our guys talk about Tailwind and Storybook and some other things that they made a decision on. That'll help us kind of improve our design system. And then also some iterations were made to the homepage, which we'll have presented to you as well. All right, so let's first talk about that decision with Tailwind, and Javi and Sami, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, sure. So something that I was working on was making sure that Storybook works well with Tailwind and is deploying via Netlify. And what this is doing is, I'm going to share my screen right now real quickly, is try to get us to have a place to have documentation for some of the things that we're working on. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And this is a Netlify link that I will make publicly available if anyone is interested. All this is a GitLab button that's following the Tailwind specification. So that means that Tailwind is being used under the hood to make this button. And if I go back to design, I can see that this is the Slippers Foundation button that exists. So what we're getting at here is trying to create as little variance between this button and this button over here as possible. From an engineering side, one of the big things that we're trying to work on is making sure that our foundations are matching. What that means is that Tailwind comes with their own opinions on like what different buttons and styles look like. And so something that we're working on is making sure that both of these are sharing the same DNA and making sure that there's as little variance between design and code, and it translates on a one-to-one basis. So that's that portion. We also tested pushing that to NPM. So this is an NPM package. If we go, I'm going to share my screen one more time really quickly. And this is just a test package. This isn't anything fancy. Part of this was also figuring out how much effort it was to actually push something to NPM. And here it is. So the repo is linked. We'll link the repo. And Sami right now is going to talk a little bit about trying to test Nux, Tailwind, and GitLab UI all together.
Okay, thank you, Javid. So another thing that we tested is to ensure that GitLab UI, Tailwind CSS, and Nuxt.js can all work together inside the same framework, so that we can ensure that whatever we are developing can work all across the board, so that we just don't develop something that is still going to fall behind just because we couldn't support one of our libraries, such as GitLab UI. So I'm going to share my screen right now, which will Yes, I'm sharing my screen right now, which is showing the Nuxt.js app that we quickly created. So it's using Tailwind CSS for some margin, padding, and the utility classes that is provided by Tailwind CSS. And it's still also taking styles from our GitLab UI, which is this section right here. The red color is coming from GitLab UI. The margin and the padding is coming from Tailwind CSS. So everything can still work together, and we are good. So this looks like a very good impression that combining all these toolkits together is going to give us some superpowers. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Sami. I think next Brandon's going to talk about the iteration to the homepage.
Yeah, so let me figure out my way around Zoom here for a moment, as I am currently recording. Okay, let's see. Oops, sorry, wrong window. There we go. Okay, so this is the newest iteration of the homepage. It looks pretty much the same with some minor differences. We moved the logos and the used by text to a different section. And as you can see here, we have some larger blocks that showcase statistics and are much more prominent in contrast and information relevant. And they all link out to case studies. And so increasing time on site and relevance to people at this point in their buyer's journey, visiting the homepage. And then we also restored up at the top here this banner for downloading ebooks to link our users to relevant content. And then one last thing is these CTA blocks here now have links to Path Factory tracks so that our users can get the information they need. And that will help us, all these hopefully shall increase our engagement metrics. So yeah, that's about it. The rest of the homepage is mostly the same. But yeah, this is the thing I was focused on for this sprint. So yeah, on to whoever's next.
I think Javi, have you talk about how we're tracking towards our OKR?
Yeah. So one of the big things that we are focusing on during this iteration was trying to figure out where we're actually going on the technology vision side. And so I'm going to share my screen one last time. And we had this big old discussion between the engineers to try to figure out kind of where we're headed. And one of the big things that came out of this was having a DRI on the engineering side. I think that helps within the context of making decisions. The big win here is having a set direction, and then closing the issue, and then trying to work within the principles of having a two-way door and disagreeing, but committing to wherever the direction is going, and understanding that if our needs change, so can our execution of those needs. And I think that's the GitLab way. So hopefully we'll tread forward in that direction.
Great, thanks, Javi. The only other thing on our agenda is just letting you know that the homepage iteration is aiming to release later today. Does anyone else have anything else they want to add before we close it out? No? All right, that's it. All done.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.